welcome to the next episode of Southern Renaissance. And I got a very special guest. I can't think of a more special guest than right here. I got my dad, Thomas E. Perdue.
Howdy.
Yeah, that's him. So he's a legend broadcaster, and he's been around the world. He's got a lot of stories. So he's one of the most interesting people I can think of to interview. So I'm glad you're here, Dad. Thanks for doing it.
Glad to be here.
Well, tell me about where you were born and how it was like growing up over there.
Well, I was born down in Geneva County, Hartford, Alabama, behind 2 mules, job down in a cultivator. That's where I was born. We was sharecroppers, and my dad would get we'd farm the land and do all the work, and the landlord got half the crop, and we got the other half a crop. As that old song Tex Ritter said, leaving the woman one old dress, and it was full of holes.
So what you're saying, you guys were sharecroppers, and that's the way it worked. They would they would let you live there, right? And then they would take half of it, and then
everything,
okay.
And we used to. We had the rolling store used to come by all the time, and we would trade stuff. We used to trade our chicken eggs for butter, or not for butter, for other stuff. We had butter and stuff, and we used Benny eggs and trade our chicken eggs because we was poor.
Yeah. Hey, you gotta survive, right?
Yeah.
Well, I know you have some sisters, and what did you guys do for fun?
What we do for fun? Well, my Mitzi, we used to build us roads, and I'd have the magnesium bottle, a big old blue bottle. That was for our bus, and we'd build bridges and things, and play. And my sister would get out in the cornfield and plant all the corn stuff. Okay. And but we used to play and climb trees and fish and all that type of good stuff.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I know you started at a young age, kind of like in thinking about wanting to be an entertainer and doing radio and stuff. When did you realize you wanted to be on the radio?
Well, I first started working with Armed Forces Radio and Television Service about 1958, when I used to help do the TV show. We had them big old long cords and the big old cameras, big things, back then, and I started with that, and then I realized that I wanted to be on radio, so they taught me how to do it, and I started on radio about 1962.
Okay. Well, I remember you telling me the story that you used to get out in the field and you had a stick and you put a can on it and pretend like you were singing or preaching, right?
Well, what we did there, we'd be picking cotton, or supposed to be. Yeah. And my sister would sing, and I'd get me a stick and I'd preach, and they'd sing, and we'd have the Cotton Patch Jamboree.
Cotton Patch Jamboree.
Yes, sir.
I like it. I remember you telling me that story, and I always remembered that. I thought that was pretty funny. So who is the Alabama Wildman?
That's me.
So not everybody knows, but my dad, when he was on the radio, he used to be known as the Alabama Wildman.
I was known that all throughout the military.
And this was on Armed
Forces Radio and Television Service, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so how'd you get into that originally? You got in the military. You started in the Marines, right?
I started in the Marine Corps, and I did my TV thing in the Marine Corps, but then I really did my radio thing when I went into the Navy, really. When I really started that then.
I got you.
And I helped set up I was on radio at Midway Island, Okinawa, Sigonella, Sicily, Italy, and all them places. But I know one time I had to go on a thing for about a month and a half to set up a Navy exchange. I set the whole thing up, and I had to record a month and a half shows before I left.
I got you.
And boy, I took about 2 hours getting the first one, trying to make sure it was perfect. After that, I said, forget it, let it roll.
You just did whatever.
Yeah, so
we fill it up.
So they'd play my shows, but I wouldn't be there. And I was always known as Alabama Wildman.
Now, where'd that name come from? Where'd you get that name from?
Well, I'm from Alabama, and I so
and
wild. Yeah,
and that's a Jerry Reed song, isn't it?
Jerry Reed. That's where Jerry Reed's song's where it came from. I guess I got it from him. I don't know, but there's one day I was on a radio and I was saying Alabama Wild, my mature turned over and knocked me out.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that. So you said you was on the air, and you were alive on the air, and then you leaned back in your chair, and it flipped out from under you, and it knocked you out, and you had dead air there for a while.
Yeah.
That's a sin in broadcasting.
It's a terrible sin.
That's funny. How long you think you were out?
Well, not long, but I had my other guy to take over to.
Oh, you had an engineer there?
Engineer,
Were they laughing at you, or were they giving you a hard time?
Yeah.
That's funny.
I used to play. I played all the country shows. I played the latest hits. I played the top 20 of the rock and roll. I used to play easy listen morning show, and I just played variety. I played a Midway Island. I did all the morning show at 6 o'clock in the morning. I put on the morning show.
Yeah,
easy listening type music.
Okay,
and then I played country music and the top rock and roll songs. So I did a variety.
Now you got to, when you were in the radio, I know you got to meet some of the stars other day. Who's some of the people you got to meet? I know you met the Louvin brothers.
Oh yeah, I met Louvin brother, and I met Willie Nelson.
And you said that you met Willie Nelson when he had a real short crew cut.
Had a crew cut. It looked sharp.
Clean
long time
cut.
ago. Yeah, sorry.
It all went downhill after.
Yeah. And Ferlin Husky, I helped put his show on.
Oh, okay.
When he sung "On the Wings of a Snow White Angel."
That's a bird. Snow White Dove. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I like that. Yeah. So I didn't say this earlier, but my dad are here. Thomas E. Perdue, aka the Alabama Wildman. He's really the one that got me into music, because when I was growing up, I think I was 7 years old or something. He had all these old records. He had all these old country and rockabilly records, and I listened to them, and I really loved it. I would have never heard all that if it wasn't for Dad, and him also just knowing about that kind of music and stuff.
Yeah, I like that.
And learn about it. He was always telling me about it. And Dad kind of has this showmanship and being on the radio, and he's just good at talking and being with people, being around people. And so that's where I got a lot of my showmanship, I think. Well, you said you played country music sometimes, but then other times you played easy listening, right?
Yeah, whatever shows in the mornings. In the morning show was easy listening. That's what you played.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't forget what I used to play.
I'd forget all that easy listening too if it was me.
Well, I like it.
You like easy listening?
Yeah, I like all variety of music.
I figured you like heavy metal, Dad.
No, I didn't like heavy metal. I remember I played all the Beatle music until it got to Strawberry Road. Is that the name of it?
Strawberry Fields.
And then I wouldn't play that because it was drug music. I used to put that on the radio.
Yeah, you were raised more on the just down down home country
Yeah.
stuff and then rockabilly, but you didn't get into that more progressive type sounds more later on, I guess.
No, I played all the Beatles music till I got that Yellow Submarine. And
Yeah, they got kind of weird there.
Yeah.
I know early on they were playing more like rockabilly type stuff, I guess.
Yeah, I liked until they got into drug music.
Yeah, it's not for everybody, I'm sure. I mean, I know there's other people you got to meet Elvis, didn't you? I remember you telling me about meeting Elvis.
I met
Presley.
Elvis, and then I even met, I can't think, the guy that put on all the shows for the military people around the world years ago.
Like maybe Dick Clark? Or wait, not Dick Clark.
No.
Gosh, I can't think of his name.
I can't either. I saw his show.
I think I know who you're talking about, though, but I can't remember.
I was stationed in Atlanta, the Goonie Birds.
The Goonie Bird. Now, what is the Goonie Bird?
Well, that was a Midway Island where I was stationed over there. And them Goonie Birds, I guess airplanes learned how to fly from the Goonie Birds. The Goonie Birds take off like this. If the wind stopped, they just fall.
Oh.
And over at Midway Island, we had horses, but there was bicycles, but we called them horses because you wasn't allowed to have no car. You had bicycles. You'd be going down the road, old Goonie Bird just drop and hit you in the face, knock out the horse. And
See, this is stuff that no one would know about if you didn't know about, because I'd never heard of all that. I knew about Goonie Birds from you telling me about it.
They used to do the Goonie Bird love dance.
What is that?
Well, the Goonie Birds said they'd get dancing, put their bill, get with each other and just dance. We call it Goonie Bird love dance.
That's funny. Well, you have all kinds of slang that I like. I remember you saying when you would be picking cotton and stuff, your dad say, "Don't slubber your work."
Yeah, slubber.
I guess don't be slothful, but he'd say,
"Don't have to do it."
But he'd say, "Don't slubber your work."
Don't slubber your work. That's right. Yeah, we used to. My daddy told me if I picked so much cotton, I think it was 300 and something pounds a day. If I did that, he'd let me go to see the movie. Well, the movie at that time, he'd give me $0.25, and that would pay for the drink, popcorn, and the movie, and have a nickel left.
Yeah, I think it's inflated a little bit since then.
But see, if I didn't do that, he wouldn't let me go ride the mule and wagon to town, because that's what we had at that time.
Oh, okay. So you didn't even have a car; you just had a mule and wagon.
Hitchhike, a mule and wagon.
I mean, you were sharecroppers, so
yes, that's what we were. We was Poe.
Poe, yeah, like that song. What's that song you like? Poe Folks.
Yeah,
Who is that by?
Bill Anderson.
Bill Anderson, that's right.
Yeah,
Whispering Bill Anderson.
Yeah, one of my favorite songs.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. And you like that song. I know you like that song, Patches, too.
Oh, that's one of my favorite songs.
Clarence Carter.
Yeah, Clarence Carter.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I like but them is my two favorite country songs, believe it or not.
I believe it. Yeah, you've told me that before, and there's two really good songs. It just
Patches is not really a country song. It's more a rock and roll song.
Yeah, it's not really country, but it's kind of about, I guess, somebody raised in the country.
Yeah, it's about truth.
Yeah. So I think that's the thing I love about country and all that kind of stuff, is it's so authentic. It comes from real
comes from the heart.
Yeah, it comes from the heart, and that's why I like that kind of stuff. So it's funny because some of these questions I was going to ask you already talked about. So when you were in the military, I know you went some different places. What were some of the places you went? I know you said you went to Italy and Okinawa,
Japan, Singapore, Philippines, Hawaii. I was stationed in Hawaii, and I was Rome, Italy. I was stationed in Rome. I was stationed at. I can't think of all.
Yeah, there was a bunch of places. I couldn't remember that many places.
Yeah.
So what? I know you were in now this was during Vietnam War, right?
Yeah, I was in Vietnam War. Yeah,
so that was probably a really rough time. So what were you doing in Okan? I know you tell me about Italy. It was different because you go to a restaurant and you'd have to pay for every single little thing.
You had to pay for your seat, had to pay for your plates, and all that stuff. Yeah,
I'd never heard of that until you told me about it. I didn't know that such a thing existed. I just assumed you look on the menu and that's everything else is free.
Well, when I was stationed, I was in there's one place I can't think of, but no English, so I'm trying to get me breakfast, and normally all they have is they don't have no cow. They worship cows.
I got you.
And so
was it maybe India or something?
No.
Oh, somewhere else.
No, it was I can't think of it.
I got you.
But anyway, I'm trying to get me some cow milk instead of goat milk.
Oh, yeah.
No goat milk. So I'm going, moo! They thought I was crazy. I still wind up with goat butter and goat milk and all that old bunch of stuff.
So you were mooing at them, trying to get them to understand what you were saying.
I wanted cow milk, not goat milk.
They just thought you were having a nervous breakdown or something.
That was in Spain, I think.
That's now. What did you do in Okinawa?
When I was stationed in Okinawa?
Yeah, when you were stationed over there.
I was in the Marine Corps. We had went on maneuvers and hiked long way. Back when Kennedy was in office, we had to do a 50-mile hike in the Marine Corps.
Oh, man.
And you'd have to walk, but the last 5 miles you had to run singing the Marine Corps hymn.
Yeah.
And if you didn't make it, you had to do it the next day. So I made it because I knew that I was going to make it. Yeah. That Paris Island, I knew I was going to make that because when I went to Paris, my daddy had to sign for me. I was 17. And my daddy said, boy, if you don't make it, don't you come home. Don't insult my name. So I went to Paris Island, and everybody in my platoon was from Brooklyn, New York, but me. And I said, I know I'm going to make it. Them Yankees can't outdo Alabama country boy nowhere in the world. So I made it. That helped me. If it had been all Alabama folks, I probably wouldn't have made it.
Yeah.
It was motivation.
I know what you mean. Yeah, people, I think a lot of people underestimate people from the South.
Yeah.
And, but yeah, you can't do that because we'll do good. So yeah, it's been really interesting. Just over the years, you tell me all kinds of crazy stories. So I think that's probably when the Alabama Wildman was born right there. You're from up against the world and you just wanted to express yourself, right?
Yeah, back when I was an instructor in the Marine Corps, I have a whole bunch of people. I say, who's from Alabama? I get a whole platoon from Alabama, the first one. I said, now y'all got to do the best because I'm from Alabama, you're from Alabama, we're number one. So if they foul up, I really got them.
You give them a hard time.
Yeah.
That's tough love, right?
Yeah, that's it.
Well, now they used to be pretty rough on y'all back then, right? They would call you maggot and all this kind of stuff.
That's a name they call you, maggot. When I first went to Paris Island, I guess farming, I must say down a step or something. I couldn't stay in step, so they put me at the back of the platoon, duck walking, quack, 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 duck walking, until I learned how to march right. So I go back of the platoon going, quack, quack, that's what I had to do.
Hey, that's just good. Like old Chuck Berry used to do his duck walk. That's good practice.
Yeah, I've seen him do that with that guitar.
Yeah. Well,
I was in San Diego one year a long time ago where they had all the top rock and roll singers on stage in San Diego, California, but that's been a long time ago.
Yeah.
The Platters and all that.
Okay. Like those vocal groups and all that stuff.
Yeah, all that. Yeah.
Well, like I was saying earlier, you did get to meet Elvis, right? Like you shook his hand.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was working at the theater and he was putting a show on there. and I shook his hand. All them girls kissed my hand because I shook Elvis's hand.
Yeah.
Oh,
He was something else.
he was. Yeah, he was really good, and he had the quartet with him.
Oh yeah, the $1 million. I mean, not the million. Oh man, I'm blanking out. Jordanaires.
Yeah, Jordanaires.
I can't believe I blanked out there for a second. But yeah, that's got to have been an interesting time.
That was 1957.
Okay, 57. That sounds about, I guess, when he was really taking off.
Yeah, he'd take off good. He went. He had that hound dog song, you know, and he got up there and he pointed his hand out there. He said, "You ain't nothing but a hound dog." This old girl fainted.
It's like he had a power over me. He could just point his finger and faint.
Yeah. He threw his coat out there and they all went crazy.
Well, I know that, let's see, did you ever get to meet Ernest Tubb? I know you.
I've been to Ernest Tubb Record Show.
Okay,
yeah,
I got you.
I've seen Ernest Tubb Record Show, Roy Cup Show, Roy Cup plays, and I've seen all of them.
You always talk about the Grand Ole Opry.
Yeah,
and
I've been to the Grand Ole
kind of
Opry
stuff,
2 or 3 times, yeah. I even went to Tootsie's. Tootsie's Bar and Grill. That's right outside the Grand Ole Opry. All the stars, when they get through, they used to go to Tootsie's, and I went there one time.
Yeah.
Just for the heck of it. I went to Tootsie's one time, yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, and this was back in like, what, the 50s or 60s?
About 60s,
60s.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I guess a lot of I know Nashville's changed a lot since then, but I know that back then you could see a lot more.
I think they still have that.
Yeah, I think it is still there, but I know it's definitely a little different now. But yeah,
I was there on New Year's Eve, and WSM had their microphone there, talking to different people.
Oh, interviewing people.
Yeah,
like I'm doing now.
Yeah, WSM. Yeah.
I say I tell you what, this is way out of my comfort zone. I've never been the interviewer. I'm used to doing everything, the production, being interviewed, everything else but right here. So I wanted to stretch myself out. And I said, well, I got the most legendary broadcaster as my dad, so I can't not get him on here. And, a lot of my personal stuff, I've done more music and stuff. But with this, I'm just wanting to have all kinds of people on here and just kind of hear stories about people from the South, because I think there's a lot of interesting people and a lot of things that people don't hear about that's going on, and just there's a rich history here. I think it kind of inspired me when I went up north, and they sort of had an impression of me already just because I was from Alabama, and I don't fit a stereotype. I'm just my own person, and that's the way most people are. So just want to get some culture out there and just show people that there's things going on everywhere, and South's a pretty cool place too. I like the North too. I don't like this humidity, coming back to this humidity. It's been so hot lately.
It don't bother me.
You're probably immune to it by now.
I was stationed in California for 10 years, and I went up there and said, "How you doing?" They looked at me like I'm crazy.
That's right. You went out to California. You said did you get a Cadillac or something? I think you told me.
Yeah, I had a Cadillac. Oh yeah, I came back to Alabama. You want me to tell that one?
Yeah. I
came back to Alabama. I had had my Cadillac, and I had $100 bills in my pocket, and I had my bandana on. I had a red bandana in my pocket, my sleeves rolled up with my cigarettes like James did, and all that stuff. And I stopped to get me some gas, and I gave him $100 bill. Is that, oh, you guys $100 bill? I said, yeah, I got 10 of them. What'd you do, rob a bank? Because, I'm from poor folk. I wasn't supposed to have all that much. I had my Cadillac and all that stuff. I was Mr. It for a little while.
Yeah.
I was born with riding a mule in a wagon and up to a Cadillac.
Yeah.
I had a Fleetwood, the biggest one they had at that time.
Oh, man. That's like a land barge.
Yeah, it was real big. It was so big when I was qualifying to get my driver license, I couldn't parallel park. It was too big State Trooper said, just forget it. It's too big to park.
Just forget. This is not physically possible for you to park this Cadillac.
Yeah.
So we'll just pass you.
So I wanted to impress these folks from my hometown of Hartford, Alabama, that this old boy moved uptown.
You came in like a superstar. You said you were talking about how clean cut Willie Nelson was, but you said you had like what was it? You put a bandana on your head and stuff, being a.
That was back in the 60s.
60s, yeah.
But during the flower children, I was stationed in California at that time, yeah. During that time. I even had my sandals on.
You sandals?
You would never believe me.
No, I believe you. I mean, you got lots of story, but it's funny, yeah, because Dad is definitely, he's wild the way he talks, but he's just very calm, just hangs out now, and but yeah, that's I'm trying to. Oh, another thing I think is interesting is you've been your hobby has been the weather for many years.
About 52 years.
52 years.
I used to be on I used to give the weather to Channel 13 for about 13 years. They have a picture there, and they'd say, "Combat weather from Weimar, Alabama." Thomas Perdue. Yeah.
Well, I remember growing up, you always had an instrument shelter.
Yeah.
And you got all the measurements. You've got an actual book where you wrote every measurement in there for every day for 50 years?
For 52 years, and I still do it every day. I mean,
that's pretty impressive.
No, I do daily, and then a monthly report, and then I do the yearly thing. So it's just my hobby.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I don't know anyone else that has done that other than maybe a meteorologist where that's their job. Or
Jim
something.
McCravey got me started.
Okay. Now who is that, Jim?
He was a weatherman for Coleman a long time ago.
Okay, I was thinking. Yeah, I recognize that name.
I was thinking he lived at Hansville.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember that. You remember when I used to be in the Cub Scouts, and I guess you just had such a good relationship with the Navy, because you used to be a Navy recruiter, and you had gotten that actual Navy boat for us to. Yeah, remember that?
Yeah, we got a boat to have on the parade, and I was real blessed because the guy that running the movie. He'd do my Navy commercials at the theater all the time for me.
Oh man, like for free? He'd just throw them on. Yeah, you can't beat that. You had connections.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you were. Now, I've done a lot of sales recent years, but I think I've got a lot of tips from you from doing that stuff, because you were, like I say, you were a Navy recruiter.
I went to sales training
for a while there.
I had to go to school on selling. So I tell you, if I'd give my choice one day, so you can go in the Navy or buy this car, they'd bought the car, of course.
Yeah, I'm sure you're persuasive. I mean, you're good with talking to people, and you're 84 now. Mm-hmm. So yeah, you're doing good.
Blessed.
I know, me too. But I'm so glad I got to talk to you, Dad. And it's always good to talk to you and just talk about all your stories. Now, another thing, I wrote a song. It's been a long time ago now, called "Stubborn as a Mule." And I think I got that from you, that saying that you're saying is stubborn as a mule. You used to say that, right?
Yeah.
So I think I might have got that from you. But yeah, that's it's good to hear about your stories. I think that when you're in the Navy, now what was another place you went besides Italy and Okinawa? Was it you went to? I've tried to think of the other place you went to.
Singapore.
Singapore, that's it.
That's where I got this tattoo.
That's right. See, you got your tattoo, and I got a couple of tattoos.
And I was rode around with the guy riding you around on this thing with a pull you.
The rickshaw?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's funny.
Have you ever been on rickshaw?
I haven't. I guess I can put that on my bucket list or whatever they call it. Well, I remember I give you a hard time because I got a couple of tattoos, and I could have done or done without him, but like, you know, you had your tattoo, so I could always be like, well, you got a tattoo.
That's what Ada did.
Yeah, oh man. See, Ada's my niece, and then yeah, we're see, we use it against you. Give you a hard time.
So use it against me.
Against me, yeah. I wasn't too much trouble though, was it?
No,
not too much.
I have been very blessed.
Yeah, definitely, and me too. I've been blessed that you've been my dad in my life, and yeah, I couldn't ask for a better dad for sure. But well, what is some? I know you had your different taglines and your broadcast and stuff you did on the radio. Like, give me one of those. I'm trying to think of what you would call it. Like you'd say, "I'm the Alabama Wildman." You do stuff like that. Mm-hmm. What? Why don't you do one of those? Like,
you hear me bringing one of my records on the air?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. Like, you're queuing it up. Okay. Do like, we'll pretend like you're on the air.
Right neighbor, don't you touch that dial. This is Alabama Wildman. I'll be around for the next hour playing the sounds of the country you hear. Our first song today is Miss Loretta Lynn, Coal-Miner's Daughter, and it's going out to you and all you Kentucky folks, and you in background, it's you too. Coal-Miner's Daughter, Miss Loretta Lynn.
See, that's all I would need to hear, and I'd be listening to that whole song. That's kind of that old broadcasting technique, I guess.
Yeah, we used to do that. Yeah.
Where you're trying to there was the intro of the song, and you're trying to get your intro in before the singing starts.
Yeah, you can't talk. You talk before it starts. Sometimes you have enough time to give the weather in there between that. You know.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes you did. What we did. We cued the thing. Tape records. We cued them. But then we seen how long the cue went before it started, and we know where we had time to say what we had time to say or not.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to talk on talk.
Yeah.
That's not right.
That's a faux pas or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And then we had, and then I had, I can't remember nothing I used to say much.
There's a lot of stuff. You had a lot of stuff.
I used to. I taught a lot of stuff. George Hamilton IV. I bring him up.
Oh yeah.
Hamilton. I said, then we got the guy from East Tennessee, George Hamilton I, the II, George Hamilton IV.
Yeah. Yeah, I always wondered that, because how many other George Hamiltons were there? Why would he just not say George Hamilton on his own?
He was the fourth of the family. Yeah.
I wonder what his other part of the family did.
I don't know.
Well, you had the thing I know you did about Ernest Tubb. You said
I said Texas 2x4.
Texas 2x4s.
Instead, I'd say this Ernest Tubb and the Texas 2x4. And instead of Texas Troubadours, I like to say Texas 2x4. You know, we had a little color in it.
Change it up, yeah. So you call it color radio. You give it that personality.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, because that's kind of a lost art now. And like you were saying, the way you cue up those records and stuff, and you had to hit that in between point just right with the music.
They don't do that no more.
Before the sync, now you can edit it and do different things, and they make it a lot easier. But you had to do it manually and be always thinking ahead. You're editing as you do it, right?
Yeah.
So that's definitely. You're definitely. I got a lot of those ideas from you, I think, and just being able to do it right on the spot. That's why I think
just right on the spot.
Yep, just right on it. So well, I know that you've done some preaching and stuff too. You've been a preacher for a while.
I've been an outreach minister preacher for 30 years.
That's good. Yeah,
I preach at prisons, to drug addicts, to homeless people, to nursing homes, to you name it.
Yeah, sure. I know you have. I remember you doing it for many years.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's. I think that's always been good. You really care about people deeply, and I try to be the same way. Have empathy for people.
Well, see, that's why we left here, to help and care for people, not stab them in the back and insult them and lower them. We're supposed to try to encourage them.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't help anybody to do that, does it?
No.
So that's another reason, I wanted to do this thing, this podcast, and just try to tell some good stories. And I think we got some good information that if anybody didn't know about the Alabama Wildman, they're going to know about him now.
Yeah.
So did you always, when you were growing up, what kind of music did you listen to grow up? Like when's the first time you got to hear music? Was it like on the radio? I mean, I know you guys were real poor because you were sharecroppers.
Well, first music we had a battery radio.
Okay.
And we'd listen to the John Daniel Quartet and things, just a little bit, but we were so poor we'd go to our neighbor's house to listen to the Grand Ole Opry because we didn't have a radio that would do it. And then that's I always loved music. I loved music all my life. My daddy, I'd be supposed to be out in the field working. I'd be listening to music. Daddy, get out in the field, boy. You can't be listening to that music. My dad didn't have time to listen to music. I love music. I love music all my life. Ever since I can remember, I love music.
Yeah.
I sing in the choir at church. And,
yeah.
I try to do whatever. I've led singing at the Jimmy Hill Mission.
That's good. Yeah, that's you definitely back up your faith and all that stuff.
Well.
So I mean, you because I remember you talked to me about the Grand Ole Opry and stuff, but that's how you did it. You got to hear it over at your neighbor's house. I guess,
when I first began. I had a transatlantic radio. You remember that?
Yeah, I was about to talk about that.
In Puerto Rico, in San Juan, Puerto Rico, our ship was sitting there, and about midnight, I could pick up WSM Nashville. Can you imagine that?
Now, which one is that? That's the... Oh, you would be overseas and you could pick it up?
I was in Puerto Rico.
Oh, you were in Puerto Rico.
San Juan, Puerto Rico.
Okay.
Late at night, I could pick up WSM Nashville.
Oh, that is impressive. Well, I remember messing around. You had that radio for a long time because I remember messing with it, and I thought that thing was cool because I could pick up radio stations all around the world and stuff.
Pick up everywhere. I'd see. I'd have that. I bought it in San Juan, Puerto Rico. That's where I bought it.
Oh, you bought it in Puerto Rico? Okay.
Yeah. At that time, that was about in the 60s. It cost me $250 back then. It was expensive radio.
Oh, yeah.
It was handcrafted Xenos. It was handcrafted.
That's probably why it lasted so long. That thing looked like it was all silver. It looked like had like a car grill on it and stuff. It's so fancy looking.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I always liked that radio. That was one of my favorite things. And I know we used to get into arguments and stuff because I'd be maybe lazy or something. You'd give me punishment. It was when we lived out in Welty. You'd make me weed eat with like a sling blade. Oh, you remember that?
Yeah, the madder you got, the better job you did.
I know. I just started slinging that sling blade around and trim it up.
You did. You used a sling about a quarter of an acre with a sling.
You harnessed my rage or whatever you call it. That's funny. Yeah, there's all so many stories. You remember that goofy time we were living in Welty, and I thought it'd be cool with my neighbor, and I had that little yellow Plymouth Turismo, and we were driving, and I jumped over that hill on that gravel road and flipped it over and smashed the top, and then I called you, hey, I smashed the car. Yeah. I've done all kinds of stupid
between you and
stuff.
John, Dad.
Yeah. We didn't know how to even begin on that. That was crazy.
I mean, I just blessed that I was able to raise y'all.
Yeah. Well, I'm blessed that you were there. That's the one thing. Yeah, Johnny was my brother, and we grew up We had every time I think of Johnny, I think about us playing all those video games and stuff, because we had all those Nintendo games and stuff when that was real big.
Yeah.
We had that little, when Nintendo kind of first came out, and they had that little Robbie the Robot came out. They picked up the little gyros and I think they discontinued because it was dangerous or something, because they all go flying. The gyros would fly off or something. So
and then you made a skateboard thing at Wildy.
Oh yeah, we made. I had several of those. You know, I was really big into skateboarding.
They're real good.
And this was in the, I guess, late '80s and then like early '90s or whatever. And then out at Wilty, we built a little half pipe, and we had one that was kind of a smaller one. And then later on, me and my friend John, we worked on build one. It was kind of out in the woods, but we never finished the deck on one side. So if you went off that, you'd go flying out in the creek. So that made it a little extra exciting. That was fun.
No, you was a good skateboarder.
Yeah, I loved it. And when we lived out in Vinemont at High Point Estates, which was the funniest name for a trailer park. We lived at High Point Estates, and we had that post office was right in front, and we would I'd skate out there because there's some cement there, and I remember I did that about every day, and I can't believe I didn't break any bones.
I'd see things I think you're gonna get killed.
Yeah. I'm surprised I didn't. I did some pretty crazy tricks. I'd ollie down long stairs and, all kinds of stuff. And
jump over things.
Yeah, jump over things. Yeah, I think it's people understand skateboarding a lot more now. It got kind of popular, but back in Coleman County, people just thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always enjoyed that. But now my knees are suffering because of, but it was worth it. Well,
you had fun.
Yeah, I had fun. That's what it was, and it was healthy. Other than getting hurt a little bit, it was pretty healthy. Putting all your energy into something positive like that, and But you remember when you taught me how to drive in that was it a Geo Metro?
Yeah, I went out in the cotton field where you couldn't hurt.
I remember that. Yeah, we went out in the cotton field.
I learned 4-speed.
Yeah, and I was like, it was like a grasshopper jumping up and down.
But you couldn't hurt none of that in the cotton field.
Yeah, just knock over some cotton.
Yeah, and you learn how. Wasn't you glad you learned how to do 4-speed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely. Because now, if everything's most of the time automatic, but if I ever run into a car and I need to do that, and then I'm gonna ride a motorcycle too. Yeah. I can even drive a forklift.
Yeah.
If I need to go somewhere really, really slow, I can just jump on a forklift and drive across the country.
It'd take you a long time.
It'd take me a while. I was born in Fort Rooker.
Camp Rooker.
Camp Rooker. Okay.
Yeah, Army base.
Okay.
Yeah, that's where I was born at.
So so I guess just being from a military family, I came from there.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, that's South Alabama, right?
That Enterprise.
Now you're from Hartford, that's South Alabama.
Yeah.
It's kind of, have you noticed, I feel like South Alabama has a little bit different accent, like it drags out a little longer, like it slurs out a little longer, it seems like.
Well, my daddy said, boy, he said, now if you're north of Montgomery, you're a Yankee, and you're west of Alabama, you're a foreigner.
A foreigner. Yeah. Now if you're north of Montgomery, you're a Yankee. Yeah. That's not a very big space right there.
Well, my daddy used to
That's funny. That's funny.
So you're north of Alabama, you're a foreigner.
Foreigner.
Fur away.
That reminds me of Jason Sims. You know Jason Sims. We had him on the first show.
Yeah, I know Jason.
His dad, I used to do all the television broadcast and production and stuff. His dad, he had a thick Southern accent, and he talked to me one day and he said, "You still filming?" And I thought he said, "Are you still feminine?" I said, "What?" But he was saying, "Are you still filming?" I was like, "Why are you asking me if I'm still feminine? What is that supposed to mean?" Yeah. But he had that kind of that same accent.
Well, see, I was stationed in California for 10 years. I talk faster than a lot of people.
Oh, yeah. I think that's part of it. Yeah, because I've noticed that even just being up in Fort Wayne, Indiana for a few years, I think my listening to people, it got recalibrated because I would sort of listen faster because I got so used to hearing people talk slower that I had to adjust. And now it's like I've had to readjust to being back in the South.
Well, there's one lady on Channel 19 that talks so fast I can't understand nothing she says.
She's like, is she like an auctioneer?
She must be some Northern Yankee.
I say, we talk about Yankees and stuff a lot, but it's just all in jest because, there's tons of good people everywhere.
I got nothing against nobody.
That's all we got. Just give it to us.
Yeah.
Give us that. And, but we have fun.
Well, when I was stationed in Sigonella, Sicily, that they had a band every month to come all from England. Every month they'd have another English band come. We listened to English band music for a whole year.
English band, like
from England.
Oh, from England. Okay, like British invasion stuff.
Yeah, we'd have the M Club that'd have an English band there for a month, and then they'd leave.
Oh, okay, I got you. They'd be on a tour or something and come through there.
No, they just hired them for a month.
Oh, they'd hire them like a house band or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
I bet that was interesting.
It was.
Yeah, you're a lot more well-traveled than I am. You've been all over the world and back.
I've been a long ways. I know when I first went over to Okinawa in 1957, when I got on that ship, and I'm doing all right until America faded away.
America faded away.
I said, America's gone, They said, boy, the closest water is 4 miles down. The closest land is.
Oh,
land is.
Oh, I got you.
And then
when you're on the boat.
Yeah, and I'm out in America. We're marching, all type of marching, about to burn up. I had a packed helmet, all that stuff, and I see this water where I came. I said, "Oh, ocean, you brought me over here, and you're going to take me back one of these days."
Yeah. And it did. It brought you back.
Yeah. I left Guam one time, and I got back to America before I left.
Wait a minute. How is this possible?
Because the time changed.
Oh, okay. I got you. Yeah, that's a crazy thing about that time. Like Australia's on another.
Well, I had a friend of mine that had a birthday, and they lost the birthday because we skipped one day and got the other day. Come back, you have 2 days of the same thing. So I guess I got it back coming back.
Yeah. Well, what is it like having the greatest son in the world?
I'm honored to have you.
Well, thank you. Well, Dad, I sure appreciate you, and I'm so glad you got to do this. It's interesting. It's like different parts of my life clashing together. I've never had you involved with any of my personal projects or anything, but I just thought it'd be something interesting to do.
Well, I thought I was honored to do it.
Well, thank you, Dad. I love you very much. And
I love you.
But hey, this has been a Southern Renaissance. I've had Thomas Eugene Perdue, aka the Alabama Wildman, my dad right here. So hope y'all have a good one, and we'll see you on the next show.
I'm probably gonna be scared to death. I won't.
You've never been on the radio before.
I'm kidding.
Never done it.
This is the first time on the radio.
The first time you ever had a microphone in front of you?
No.
Okay.